Okay, I know that there are a lot of unexpected costs when building a home from the ground up versus buying a resale home. And in this video, I'm going to discuss 7 different things that you need to focus on to make sure you don't blow your budget. Let's go. Number 1, I want to focus on the base price versus the actual sales price. Now, let's say that you're scrolling through Zillow or Redfin and you see a brand new home that's listed for sale. Okay, it's around $900,000 in Arlington, Alexandria, Bethesda. It looks great, right? Wrong. That's just the base price. This doesn't include a lot of the fees, structural upgrades, design choices, or any additional costs that will quickly add up. Most buyers, they truly end up paying around 15 to 25% more than the base price. I had a client that was looking at a new construction home in Northern Virginia. It was listed right under $800,000. And by the time they added structural upgrades, the design studio options, the lot premium, closing costs, the final sales price was much closer to $1 million, it was a little under $200,000 over the base price. The only exception to this would be a spec home. The choices have already been chosen by the builder and they're pretty much near completion. So the price that you see online for these homes is usually close to the final price, but you just won't get to pick your options. Number 2, your structural upgrades. These are by far the biggest hidden costs. Structural upgrades include things like adding a home office, finishing the basement, adding a larger kitchen, or just that bump out maybe near the dine-in area in the kitchen, adding extra square footage, maybe adding a deck or a rooftop terrace. These are all very, very important items, and that's why they cost so much money. You cannot add square footage once you build a home, right? So that's why these decisions up front are extremely important compared to many of the other options that you could choose from. Now, a quick tip here, not all upgrades add value. You don't need every single structural option just because they're listed there and they tell you that you can't do it after the fact. Just focus on what matters to you. I know buyers who have added gourmet kitchen options, certain things that cost thousands and thousands of dollars just to find out that it really wasn't important to them in the end. So when you're adding these big ticket items, you really want to focus on what is going to be most important to you and your family. You have to think about your lifestyle and what you guys will be using the most. Yes, it's absolutely awesome to be able to wrap some of these big upgrades into your mortgage, which is what you'd be able to do most of the time. That way you can keep that cash in your pocket. But if it's not something that you or your family are going to immediately need, you can find a good contractor to do it less than what the builder is going to charge you. Now, this goes for everything outside of expanding the total footprint of the home to increase the square footage. If this is important to you, these are absolutely upgrades that you 100% want to do before the build. Number 3, the design studio. This is called the feel-good money trap, right? This is where you would pick things like your cabinets and countertops, your flooring, your appliance packages, your bathroom fixtures. It's designed to put you in this feel-good, like really awesome state emotionally, and that's how builders get you to spend way more than you'd expected. Of course, you also just walk through the model home, and it's very difficult to look past, wanting a carbon copy of the model home, which number 1 has every single upgrade, and number 2 has some upgrades that probably aren't even available to the public. Here's a quick example of what some of these upgrades can cost you. Okay, you got your LVP or your luxury vinyl plank flooring, depending on the square footage of your home, could be $10,000 to $15,000+. Your quartz countertops will be $5,000+. Upgraded cabinets with soft close drawers and cabinets, $4,000+. Recessed lighting throughout the home, $3,000 or more. High-end appliance package, $6,000. Now, these small choices, even though they're not that small, they'll seem it at the time, they add up really fast. So set a budget before you go to the design studio and stick to it. And this is going to be good because you probably would have already decided which structural upgrades you want. So you'll know how much of your budget you've already chewed into. Number 4, we've got your lot premiums, okay? Here's what you need to know. Not all lots cost the same. If you want a larger yard, a corner lot, a premium view, or a yard that backs up to privacy like the woods, expect to pay extra. For example, a home that's back into the woods in Loudoun County might have a $10,000 lot premium assigned to it. Or a townhome with a rooftop terrace in Arlington could be $20,000 to $30,000 more. A single family home on a cul-de-sac, say in Bethesda, $50,000 or more, okay, depending on the total base price point. Make sure you ask the builder about lot premiums early so you know what to expect. And also, depending on the community, this is really something that you can lean on your realtor representation for as well. If it's not something where there's a ton of competition, I've had success in the past negotiating the lot premiums with the builder, depending on where along they were in the total build out of the community. Number 5, extra cost at closing that builders make you pay, when in reality, you wouldn't have to pay if it was a resale home. Okay, unlike those homes where sellers typically cover some of the closing costs, here in the greater DC area, they're often split 50-50 between the buyer and the seller. Builders often pass these costs onto you. Okay, and also, unlike resale homes, buyers get pretty strong incentives for using the lender that works directly with the builder instead of using your own outside lender. So here's a few costs that buyers don't expect when going into the purchase of a new construction home. Number 1 here in Virginia only is the grantor's tax, which seller normally pays this, but many builders shift this onto the buyer. This could be $2,000, $3,000 or more. Another thing is the capital contribution fee, specifically if this new construction community has an HOA, which they almost all do. Now, this isn't just new construction specific. This can also happen in a resale community as well. But what happens here is many of the builders charge a one-time fee to fund the HOA's reserves. This could be, a few $100 all the way up to a few $1,000s at settlement, and depending on the community, of course. It's good for the community, and it's how they can bankroll cash from the start in case of, amenities needing repair as the years go on, so on and so forth. But it puts another dent in your wallet. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, using the lender that is attached to the builder is often very good for the buyer. There's a lot of incentives that they'll offer in terms of seller contribution, giving you money back at settlement that you can use to furnish the home, that you can use to buy down your rate, so on and so forth. But you're going to want your realtor to stay on top. They're not maybe the best in customer service as maybe the local lender would be, at least in my experience. An example is one of my previous clients. We were buying a new construction home in a Manassas community. And the lender, they offered an amazing incentive, so we did go with their lender. They kept making a mistake on the total down payment that the buyer was putting towards their property. And it ultimately affected the amount of money that they needed to bring to closing. And I had to chime in more than a few times along the way to make sure that things were adjusted correctly. So the incentives are fantastic, but sometimes you just have to make sure that your realtor and your representation, that they're keeping an eye on everything for you, okay? Number 6, items that aren't included in the purchase of your new construction home. When you move into your brand new home, guess what? It's not 100% move-in ready, okay? Here are some things that the builders are not going to include. First are blinds and curtains. You don't want your neighbors seeing everything inside your house that you and whoever else that's living there are doing. Unless you do, and well, that's just kind of strange. But expect to pay $2,000 to about $10,000 depending which blinds and curtains you choose. Another thing that the builders do not include, well, most of them don't, are your washer and dryer. Now, you can purchase them from some of the builders, but they're going to charge you way more than they should. Okay, so buy separately and save money. I have many clients who have gone to the Best Buy outlet in Manassas to check out appliance packages at a pretty hefty discount. They may have a small mark on them here or there, but the savings are usually very good, so make sure you check that out. Another major thing are decks, patios, and different kinds of landscaping that you may want. Many new construction homes, they come with very basic landscaping, and if you want a deck or a fence, you're going to be paying out of your pocket. And lastly, number 7, last but most important, okay, which I did say in the beginning, I was not lying, the number 1 money-saving tip for new construction buyers to not blow your budget. If you want to save tens of thousands of dollars, get in early. Here's why. Builders increase prices as more homes sell. It's tough to continuously negotiate on properties the further the community gets built out, because if they lower the price, then they'll have to negotiate with each and every buyer that comes through that door. So it's easier for them to either keep the prices steady or continuously raise them month over month, which they usually do. However, early buyers get the lowest pricing. Late buyers pay the highest for sure, with the exception of maybe the last home or two to close out the community. They may tack on some discounts to get the community completely wrapped up so they can move on to their next project. But the home will still be worth more than it would have been from the very start. By the final phase, homes can be $50,000 to $100,000 more expensive, depending on how many homes have been built and how long the process has taken. I had a client buy a townhome in a Tri-Point community in Alexandria, middle of 2023. Price that they purchased for was right around $750,000. By the time they closed, about 8 months later, the exact same home was going for almost $830,000, $80,000 more. So the moral of the story, if you're thinking about new construction, act fast and get in the early phases. Final thoughts. Is new construction right for you versus resale? This is obviously very heavily focused on the cost or the hidden cost of new construction versus resale. There's many different costs that go into a resale home as well. So if you have those questions, put them in the comments below. I answer every single question that people post or reach out to me directly. But overall, the pros of buying new construction is that everything's brand new. It's quite obvious, right? This is something that many people are striving for in their first or next home. There are a ton of energy efficient features in the home compared to homes that were built 10 plus years ago. So you'll be saving money every single month. A lot of different customization options. Obviously, you cannot decide on the features and the options that go into a resale home unless you put a lot of money into renovating that property. But with new construction, you can usually choose them from the beginning. And depending on the community and the time of the real estate cycle that we're in, there's usually less competition. You get to walk in, see the model, choose your lot, and there you go. Also, depending on the community and what type of builder it is, you can usually put a very, very small down payment and lock up the lots for a handful of days. You get to then review some of the numbers, talk to the lender, see the options, and worst case scenario, you get to take that money and deposit back and let the lot go. It's called a lot hold. Same thing goes for some more custom builders depending on the price point, and that time frame can go longer as well. It doesn't just have to be 3 to 5 days. Depending on the builder, it can be weeks at a time. So that way you can really take your time and decide what's going to be right for you without having to very often, and even still nowadays, especially in Northern Virginia, put in multiple offers and feel like you're being rushed. Now the cons here, a higher cost than resale homes. In the end, you end up paying more for new construction. There was a strange period in time where during COVID, it felt like that new construction was somehow cheaper than resale homes. Now it also depends on the community and what it is you're looking for. A resale home is much more located in a mature community with mature trees, and it just feels slightly different than more of that lot style new construction feel where everything has just obviously been torn down and leveled for these new homes to be built. Number two, there could be delays in construction. Now, there often are little hiccups here and there throughout the 6 to 9 months that it takes for the home to be delivered to you. So you're going to want to make sure that you rely on your realtor to check in on everything for you. And obviously, the point of this video, number 3, are the unexpected fees. Many folks walk into this not understanding how much it's going to cost them in the end. So they have a budget in mind. They see the price on Zillow or through their realtor on the MLS, and they go, oh, cool, that's how much this is going to cost. Let's do it. And by the time in those beginning phases, they realize how much it's going to cost them. And, you fall in love with the property at that point. It's very hard to back away. So you end up maxing out your budget or blowing it completely. And a pro tip for you guys, when you're deciding which realtor to use whether you're moving from out of state or within the area to purchase new construction, here are a few things that you're going to want to make sure that they take care of for you. You're going to want a realtor to negotiate for you before and during the build. There are certain things that could happen during the process that you may realize could be better for you, adding in certain outlets for your electrical car in the garage, etc., etc. You're going to want your realtor to handle this for you throughout the entire process, not just from the very beginning. You're not just walking in with them to sign something and then they're gone. You're going to want someone who has expert knowledge of the new construction process and how the pricing works. You want expert guidance in the most impactful upgrades and options for resale value for you for the future. What is truly worth it and what are you overpaying? Understanding every builder's strengths and weaknesses in the local market, which builders are truly the best. You're going to want a realtor who understands every stage of construction from slab to the finishes. Lastly, you're going to want a realtor who can document everything for you, who's active in sharing images, taking video of the different stages for you of the build, whether you're local or not. Sometimes it's a pain to constantly go back to that property to see these changes at each stage of the build. So rely on your realtor to take walkthrough videos and keep you up to speed. Guys, that's it for you. If you're thinking about buying a new construction home here in the greater DC area, let's chat. Schedule a consultation using the first link in the description below, where also all of my contact info is. Feel free to reach out at any time. If you found this helpful, hit like and subscribe for more greater DC area real estate content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.